It was 9:47 p.m. on a humid Thursday in late spring, and the building had gone quiet except for the distant hum of the HVAC system and the occasional ping of an email landing in an inbox no one would check until morning. Alex Rivera leaned back in his ergonomic chair, the one the company had provided after he'd complained about back pain from too many 12-hour days. His screen glowed with rows of financial projections that refused to reconcile. He pinched the bridge of his nose, feeling the familiar ache behind his eyes. His phone vibrated softly on the desk. A photo from Maria, the babysitter, Emma, small and determined, sitting cross-legged on the living room rug in her favorite purple pajamas patterned with tiny rockets. She was hugging her plush moon, eyes heavy but open, waiting. The message read: She's asking every 5 minutes when Daddy will be home. I tried the dinosaur book twice. She's fighting sleep hard tonight, Alex's throat closed. He typed back quickly, tell her Daddy loves her to the moon and back. I'll be there soon, the lie tasted bitter. Soon had become his most used word lately, and Emma was starting to notice. He closed the spreadsheet, saved the file, and began shutting down his laptop. Another night of missing bedtime stories. Another morning of apologizing over pancakes while she looked at him with those big, forgiving eyes that made the guilt cut deeper. That's when the door to the executive suite opened. Elena Voss emerged, carrying a single manila folder and looking more human than Alex had ever seen her. No blazer, sleeves rolled to mid-forearm, dark hair escaping its usual low chignon in soft strands that framed her face. She was 34, had been named to Forbes' 30 Under 30 list twice, and carried herself with the quiet authority of someone who had never once doubted her own competence. To the rest of the team, she was a legend, sharp, unflinching, impossible to read. To Alex, she was mostly just the name at the bottom of approval emails and the woman who occasionally gave him a brief nod in the hallway. She stopped when she saw the lights still on at his station. Rivera, she said. Her voice was lower than usual, almost gentle. You're working late again. Projections for the merger won't balance themselves. He offered a tired half-smile. You too? I live in the building next door. Walking home takes less effort than waiting for the elevator crowd. She glanced at the dark windows, then back at him. Your commute is longer, isn't it? Out toward the suburbs? About 45 minutes when traffic behaves. Closer to 90 tonight. He shrugged, trying to sound casual. Nothing new. Her eyes flicked to the photo still open on his phone screen, Emma's face illuminated by the lamp, looking small and hopeful. Something shifted in Elena's expression, a flicker of recognition, perhaps, or something softer. You have a daughter, she said quietly. Alex hesitated. He kept Emma's existence private at work. Not because he was ashamed, never that, but because single parents were often quietly judged for divided attention. He had fought too hard for this job to risk anyone thinking he couldn't handle the hours. Emma, he said finally. She's 8. Elena nodded once, as though committing the name to memory. She didn't press for more details, which he appreciated. Instead, she asked the question that would quietly upend both their worlds. Do you want to stay tonight? The words landed plainly, without flourish. Practical. Her corner office had a wide leather sofa that converted into a bed. Company policy for executives who pulled all-nighters during quarter ends. There was a private bathroom, a small fridge, even a coffee maker that actually made decent espresso. It was a logical solution to a logistical problem. Alex blinked. His brain, foggy from fatigue and caffeine, latched onto the first deflection it could find. Only if you promise not to charge me rent for using your fancy executive couch, he said. Or report me to HR for unauthorized pillow drool. He expected silence, or a polite dismissal. Maybe a faint eyebrow raise. Instead, Elena's mouth curved, just the smallest amount, but it reached her eyes. A real smile, startled and unguarded. "I think the company can absorb the drool risk," she replied. "Come on. I'll start the coffee." And just like that, the night changed direction. The next morning arrived in soft gold light filtering through half-closed blinds. Elena was already awake, standing at the kitchenette counter in yesterday's blouse and fresh coffee brewing. She handed him a mug without asking, black, no sugar, exactly the way he always drank it in the break room at 7:45 a.m. Alex stared at the cup. "You noticed that?" "I notice a lot of things," she said simply. They sat on the folded-back sofa, mugs warming their hands, the city waking up far below them. "Thank you," he said after a long sip. "For letting me crash here." Emma would have been up at 6 asking why Daddy never came home. "You would have survived it," Elena replied. "You're good at surviving." She paused. "She's lucky." He looked at her, really looked. The faint shadows under her eyes that concealer never quite hid. The way she held the mug like it was an anchor. The quiet armor she wore so effortlessly. "You're not nearly as terrifying as the rumor mill says," he told her. Her laugh was soft, surprised. "Most people would disagree." "I'm not most people." She met his eyes then, and something electric passed between them. Not dramatic. Not cinematic. Just real. "Careful, Alex," she said quietly. That almost sounded personal. It was. His phone buzzed, Emma's school nurse. "Fever. Pickup needed immediately." He stood. "I have to go," she said. No hesitation. "She's waiting." But as he reached the door, she spoke again. "Alex?" He turned. "If you ever need anything, late nights, a quiet place, someone to talk to. My door stays open." He swallowed hard. "Thank you, Elena." She gave the smallest smile. "Only when no one's watching." He carried that permission like a secret all the way down the elevator. The following weeks unfolded in careful, deliberate layers. Elena began including him in higher-level discussions, not just number crunching, but strategy sessions where his insights on cost structures and risk modeling actually shaped decisions. He found himself staying late not out of obligation, but because the conversations with her felt like oxygen after years of holding his breath. One evening, over leftover Thai food spread across her conference table, he told her about Emma's dream of becoming an astrophysicist. How she'd spent 3 weekends building a cardboard Hubble telescope that now sat proudly on her dresser. Elena listened with full attention, asked thoughtful questions, even pulled up NASA images on her tablet to show him real nebulae Emma might like. In return, Elena let fragments of herself slip through the cracks. She spoke of a childhood spent chasing approval from parents who measured love in report cards and trophies. Of learning early that vulnerability was a liability. Of building a career so bulletproof that no one could ever hurt her, because no one ever got close enough. The attraction grew in stolen moments, the brush of fingers when passing a document, the way her gaze lingered a second too long during presentations, the quiet way she said his name now, like it belonged in her mouth. Then came the fracture. Emma's school science fair fell on a Tuesday. She had spent weeks on her project, a working model of the solar system with battery-powered orbit paths and hand-painted planets. She had practiced her presentation in front of the mirror, wearing her favorite star-printed dress. Alex had promised, crossed his heart, pinky sworn, that he would be there at 6 o'clock sharp. At 5:32, the merger client called in a panic. Numbers didn't match. Deadlines loomed. Elena was in crisis mode, pulling together the senior team. She needed her best financial mind in the room. Alex stayed. He arrived home at 10:15, the solar system model sitting dark and silent on the kitchen table. A small note in purple marker rested beside it, my Saturn rings 1 second place. It's okay you couldn't come. I kept one cookie for you. Love, Emma, Alex sat on the hallway floor outside her door and cried silently, shoulders shaking, until his shirt was damp. Monday morning, he closed Elena's office door behind him. I can't keep doing this, he said, voice low and raw. She looked up from her laptop, alarm flashing across her face. Doing what? Staying late. Missing her life. He dragged a hand through his hair. I missed the science fair. She won second place, Elena. And I wasn't there to clap. She saved me a cookie, like that would make it okay. Elena's expression crumpled. I didn't realize, Alex, if I had known. You didn't have to know. I chose to stay. He met her eyes. Because being near you feels like the only time in years I haven't felt like I'm drowning. But Emma is drowning without me. She needs all of me, not whatever scraps are left after these nights. She rose slowly, hands flat on the desk as if to steady herself. What are you saying? I'm saying I need distance. I can't keep blurring the lines if it costs her. The silence stretched, heavy and final. Then she nodded once. I understand. He walked out. The door clicked shut like a period at the end of a sentence. The next 14 days were a slow bleed. Professional courtesy replaced warmth. Meetings were efficient, emails terse. Every time their eyes met across a room, it felt like pressing on a bruise. Alex threw himself into fatherhood with desperate focus. He took Emma to the planetarium on Saturday, let her stay up late mapping constellations on her bedroom ceiling with glow-in-the-dark stars. He read her extra chapters, cooked her favorite mac and cheese from scratch, listened to every school story like it was gospel. But at night, when the apartment was quiet, he lay awake remembering the sound of Elena's laugh, low, surprised, unguarded, and the way she used to look at him like he was more than his title. Then the second pivot came. Elena summoned him to her office after everyone else had left. She stood by the window, arms crossed, looking smaller than he had ever seen her. I have something to tell you, she said. He braced for anything. I submitted my resignation this afternoon. Effective in 30 days. The room tilted. What? She handed him a thick envelope. This is yours. Inside, a recommendation letter so effusive it could launch careers. And a single sheet of her personal stationery, handwriting neat but trembling slightly. You were right. Emma comes first. Always. I spent decades building walls so high no one could reach me. I never realized the person I trapped inside was suffocating too. The night you joked about drooling on my couch, something cracked open in me. I love you, Alex. I have for months. But love that harms the people you care about isn't love, it's selfishness wearing a prettier name. Go be the father she deserves. Be happy. You have earned every gentle thing life can give you, asterisk. He couldn't speak for a long moment. When he did, his voice cracked. You're leaving because of me? No. She shook her head firmly. Because of me. Because I finally saw what control really costs. And the first time I let someone inside my walls, I nearly destroyed the most important part of his life. Elena. I love you, she repeated, softer now. I think it started that first night, when your terrible joke made me laugh for real. But I won't stay and keep pulling pieces of you away from her. She reached for her coat. Alex stepped forward and caught her hand. Don't go. She froze. He closed the distance, cupped her face with both hands, and kissed her. It was not tentative. It was years of restraint breaking, hunger and tenderness colliding. She gasped against his mouth, then surged up to meet him, fingers threading into his hair, kissing him like she had been starving for this exact moment. When they finally parted, foreheads pressed together, breathing ragged, he whispered, "Don't leave the company. Don't leave me. Don't leave us." "But Emma." "Emma already likes you," he said. "Last week she asked if the pretty boss lady could come to her birthday. She said you look like someone who would eat chocolate cake without complaining about calories." Elena laughed through sudden tears. "Smart kid. She wants you there." They stood wrapped in each other for a long time, city lights glittering indifferently beyond the glass. "I don't want to be your superior anymore," Elena murmured against his shoulder. "I just want to be yours. No hierarchy. No late nights that steal from her. Just us, properly." "Then stay," he said. "Let me show you what real life looks like. Messy. Loud. Full of 8-year-old questions and burnt pancakes and bedtime stories. Let me love you the way you deserve." She nodded against his chest. "Okay." The months that followed were a slow, beautiful unfolding. Elena gave notice but negotiated a transition role, consulting from a distance while she stepped back from daily operations. She started therapy, unpacking decades of conditioning that equated worth with achievement. She learned, slowly, that rest wasn't weakness. Alex adjusted his hours. He negotiated flexible scheduling, took on fewer crisis projects. He was home for dinner most nights. He was there when Emma lost her first molar, when she won the school spelling bee, when she cried because a classmate said girls couldn't be astronauts. And Elena began to appear in their lives in small, careful ways. First as a visitor, bringing books about black holes for Emma, sitting quietly on the couch while Alex read bedtime stories. Then as a friend, helping Emma with a diorama for history class, laughing when flour exploded across the kitchen during a cookie-baking disaster. One Saturday in October, Emma's 9th birthday arrived. The apartment was small but bright, balloons taped to the walls, a banner that read "Happy Birthday" in uneven marker, Emma's work. Elena arrived early, sleeves rolled up, carrying a lopsided chocolate cake she'd attempted from scratch. "It looks like a volcano," she said ruefully, setting it on the counter. Emma gasped. "It's perfect. Can I have the frosting mountain?" They spent the afternoon playing board games, blowing bubbles in the tiny backyard, watching Emma open gifts, a telescope from Alex, a star map from Elena. When the last friend left, Emma climbed onto the couch between them. "Are you gonna be here for Christmas too?" she asked Elena seriously. Elena glanced at Alex, eyes soft. "If your dad wants me to be." Emma turned to Alex. "Dad?" Alex pulled them both into his arms. "He wants her here for every holiday. Every birthday. Every ordinary Tuesday." Emma grinned. "Good. Because she makes the best terrible cakes." That night, after tucking Emma in, Alex and Elena sat on the living room couch. The same one they'd once shared in an executive office, now worn and loved. Elena rested her head on his shoulder. "I spent so long thinking success meant being untouchable," she whispered. "Turns out the best thing I've ever achieved is this. Being allowed to love you both. Being allowed to stay." Alex kissed her temple. "Stay tonight?" "Every night," she answered. In the quiet glow of the lamp, with Emma's soft breathing drifting down the hall, two guarded hearts had finally learned to trust the fall. Love wasn't grand gestures or dramatic storms. It was the slow accumulation of small yes to showing up, yes to being seen, yes to choosing each other over fear. And in that ordinary apartment, on an ordinary night, they discovered that destiny doesn't always arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it arrives with a simple question in a quiet office. "Do you want to stay tonight?" "Yes. Forever." Like the video and subscribe to the channel for more emotional love stories.